Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. Hopefully, you joined us for part one of part two of my interview with Stephanie Verson of Veritas Investments. She is the Senior Vice President, Head of Marketing and Leasing. Stephanie was listed in 2022 as one of the most influential women in Bay Area business. So, thank you, Stephanie, for joining me again today. I appreciate it. I loved our first segment. So I'm excited today to dig into centralization because, as you mentioned in the last segment, centralization can mean so many things to so many people. So I'm curious about how you all define centralization, and maybe we can walk through different pieces of operations from maintenance, from leasing to accounting, all these different things, and what that means to you all and how you have tackled centralization.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Brent. So, as I said, at Veritas, we manage very small assets. We have about 350 buildings in three different markets. We are very urbanly, geographically dense in San Francisco, Oakland, and Los Angeles. Our assets are very small, 20 to 25 units on average, which means that there is no one physically on site. There is no leasing offices. There is no shop for maintenance. So that limitation became actually an opportunity for us to really look at centralization by making sure that we had to do it. It was not an option. We had to be centralized. So if we look at the leasing and marketing centralization, that those two silos are actually under one person, which is me, which tells you that we are already combining two functions that usually operate very separately in our industry. Marketing is feeding the funnel of leasing, and that should be done by the same people because the same team, because we get a 360 feedback each time when marketing does something good in terms of leads generation. We know it automatically. I know it automatically from a leasing feedback, etc., etc., etc. So it makes sense to have a combination of marketing and leasing when you want to centralize. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper in terms of what does it mean to centralize leasing for Veritas. We have specialized team that takes care of the leasing process. So if you call us, you email us, we have an inside sales call center, that a call center team that answer any emails, any phone calls, any text that a prospect will have. This team is completely specialized in qualifying the inquiries into a lead. That's their only purpose, is to do that. And they are very good at it because they are trained specifically to qualify the leads. Then that qualified lead is passed on to our leasing agents. Our leasing agents are boots on the ground. They are touring and touring our buildings from one building to another. The beauty of being very dense geographically is that there's a lot of cross properties, in a sense that if the prospects want to visit one building but is not completely sure of one unit, our leasing agents have the Salesforce app and knows the access of the next door building, the availability, the pricing, and can actually deliver a better service to our prospect than not by having that knowledge on hand. And the prospect has a better chance to actually lease because we have basically cross pollinated the needs. And so that's the leasing team. They only schedule tours, making sure that they really answer the needs of the prospects. Then we have a leasing coordinator team that their only purpose is to make sure that they take care of executing the lease as quickly, as friendly as possible. They answer any applicant questions. They help them to go through this motion, which is usually a little nerve-wracking. You need to sign a lease. You need to sign a very long lease. You need to have your renter insurance in place. You have to organize your move. And we are here to basically provide a concierge service to the prospect, to the finish line, to basically moving in. So if you look at it, it's three little silos of very expert teams. Back in the days, in a decentralized model, we were asking one person to be very good on the phone, to qualify, to tour, to do the paperwork of the leasing execution, etc., etc. Here, the centralization and the technology is helping us to really be expert at every step of the customer journey or the prospect journey. And it brings productivity because they are experts. They answer all the questions. They know exactly what to say, to do with any situations that the prospect can present. And that to me is twofold: productivity of a team, making sure that we have experts to answer the customers, the prospects, and also our process is very seamless. All the standards are the same. It's going to be processed the same way. It's not like one leasing team on one building will process you differently than on another building. Everything is done by one team with one process, one standard operation procedure. So, in conclusion, a centralized leasing team, my team is about 21 people, and we're taking care of 75,000 leads per year. And we're taking care of every, the ratio is one person on the leasing team for 380 units, which is 4 times bigger than the traditional number, which is usually one lease per 100 units. And that's the power of the centralization, is the fact that you can add volume without burdening your team.
That is fantastic. It's so funny how times change where, back in the day, being a jack of all trades was the what you're looking for, right? You want somebody who can just do everything. And it's not efficient. They're not going to get as good at every single thing. They're going to be just okay at everything. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. Okay. So I love what you talked about as far as so when you have people, they are you have roving people that are going to travel around, take your prospects with them. Do you also have self guided tours at that point too?
We do. We do as well. But most of the time, 98% of our tours are in person. People really want to make sure they understand the neighborhood, the building, what they are buying. So we have as much information as possible on our website with tours, virtual tours, floor plans. But most of the time, the prospect wants to go through the units, speak with the agents. And our leasing agents also are completely centralized in the fact that they have universal knowledge of all our buildings at once. They are the best expert of the city as well. If a prospect is like, well, I don't really like this neighborhood, no problem. We have 2 or 3 buildings down the road. You might prefer this neighborhood. So there is this centralized knowledge, universal knowledge from our leasing agents that are very unique in our markets.
And at the end of the day, we often hire leasing consultants for their sales ability, and we want them to hunt. We want them to be closing those leases, and we don't want them, having to process leases is a whole different, expertise. It's a different mindset, and so I like how you've really focused their efforts in very specific ways. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about another vertical as far as process, maybe on the maintenance side. How have you
Sure.
all approached that?
So same idea, same principle with the centralized maintenance. We do not have anybody physically in our buildings. There is no shop. There is nothing. We have one central shop in San Francisco, one also in Oakland, and we have a team of 100 tech that are dispatched based on the AI Salesforce. So we are using Salesforce AI to dispatch our technicians based on availability, proximity to the work, skills. Therefore, we really respond to most of our tickets. We receive about 3,000 maintenance tickets per months are solved within the day. 80% of our tickets are resolved in a day because we are dispatching in the smartest way possible, as fast as possible, which is always very important for our resident. We really try to resolve their issues as soon as we can. And the AI capability of Salesforce really help us to dispatch the best technician as fast as possible.
So you're using Salesforce's inherent AI capabilities to do this, or is this another something that you built within the Salesforce model?
We took basically the base capability of AI Salesforce, and we added a little bit of machine learning as well, because we have some specificities. You have to enter a little bit more like the information about your team, who has the skill for plumbing, who has the skill for electricity job, who has the skill for etc etc, and then you leverage the AI capability of Salesforce through that layer that was built in house. And then we have one or two dispatchers, and they know exactly who to dispatch at each time the ticket arrives.
Yeah, so you have different location conditions as far as you have to think about, like, or the AI has to consider which is close in proximity plus who has the skills to handle each request. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. And then at the same time, Salesforce is providing the technician the entire history of repairs of that specific unit in that specific building, which is very important to know because we help basically the technician to be better, faster, and have the complete knowledge of that unit before entering that unit to repair it.
When it comes to access control, do you have consistent access control systems across all of your properties?
Yes, we use most of our building use Carlson Living. That was one of a very early adopter of Carlson Living.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so you don't have to worry about them knowing different processes every time they get into a unit. Are you all able to is the equipment inside the appliances and all that stuff, is that consistent across all of your properties, or are you still having to deal with different types of appliances
So
when
we have our own shop with all our inventory. The 80% of what you need to be an efficient tech on a daily basis. We have a huge shop in San Francisco and Oakland to provide our tech with anything they need to repair.
Got it. Fantastic. Okay, so let's dig into another piece of the puzzle, maybe accounting or something. Tell me. Actually, I'll let you decide. What else is really interesting that has been centralized that you like to share that story?
Sure. Let me give you an example about accounting. So we have a centralized accounting, and we internally built a bot to reconcile bank statements. It used to take us forever to make sure that we were receiving the checks, the bank statement reconciliation for each buildings for us. And our in-house team again built this automation workflow to help the accounting team to just really review exceptions, things that the bot cannot reconcile. Otherwise, the reconciliation every month is done automatically, which cut us a lot of time. So that's another example application for accounting. We have one team that process all the accounting, regular accounting actions that we need to have at the property level. It's done by one team, helped by the backend system, which is Salesforce and Yardi. So of course, we have Yardi as our legacy system, but Salesforce is a layer on top of it to really simplify difficult, complex workflow, to streamline the workflow, to help the team to just push a button and not think about it, and it will be done. Like the email will be sent. I don't know. I'm not in accounting, but I hear that it's the same. It's the same principle as it's simplifying the workload and cutting times.
Do you all use a process for external suppliers as you do for internal new systems, and use them on specific properties or whatever, or specific parts of your operations at first to kind of vet them and make sure that you're stress testing those systems before you roll out to the entire portfolio?
Oh yes, we pilot. We love being the guinea pig, so we pilot usually on a small set of buildings. Anything new technology, new prop tech, we really try to pilot as much as possible before rolling it out. And we are very keen on piloting because that's part of our tech forward mindset. We want to try new solutions. We want to help those prop tech, but usually it takes a good 6 months of piloting or fine tuning, trying to see if that solution is going to work for us.
Now, this didn't have to be in centralization. Is there anything that I'm sure there's things in looking forward to in 2024 that you're planning, rolling out? What's the next great thing that you all are working on right now?
I think we're looking at, we've been using AI through Salesforce a lot, and I think we're looking at the next generation of AI. What is coming up next, which we'll need to look at, which will probably be even better than the first AI generation, whatever it will be. So I know our chief of technology is definitely very interested in looking at what is coming up in our market, in our local market as well, because San Francisco is an AI centric city right now. So we're looking at this. We are also building our own promotion management tool with Salesforce. So to make sure that it helps the marketing team, because we roll out a lot of promotions based on neighborhoods, room types, partners, financial partners, and we want to make sure that this is automatized as much as possible. So again, we are teaming with our IT team. We are looking at the capability of Salesforce to simplify, streamline very complex workflow to help the teams to be like, I just want this promotion on this building between this time and this time, and then it needs to be dynamically updated, etc., etc. So we are always trying to push the envelope to help the team. Our chief of technology always says to me, it's people, process, product. We want to help our people. We want to leverage our process to be a little bit even more productive. And we want to have a good result at the end. We want to be able to produce a good service or a good product to our team to help.
So one more thing I want to dig into, and that is when you have a concept that you want to address, or you see an opportunity to improve, or whatever the case may be, do you create your specs and then look internally first and say, hey, is this something that we can develop internally, or do you at the same time look at external providers? I mean, how do you make that decision about what's going to be internal versus external?
This is such a good question, Brent. We we do both because we have Salesforce as a backbone. We usually go first to, can we do it internally? What would be the effort against the impact? And most of the time we try to do it internally because it makes more sense, because it will be straight away customized to our own needs and our specificities. But sometimes we go outside, like we just onboarded the new screening tool with Yardi, and this tool was assessed with a lot of other providers, and it was very clear that that would be too much time for our internal team to build our own screening tool when some of the legacy vendors had a very good newest version of their screening tools. So we decided to go. We did a very thorough process of validating each vendor, and then we went with the one that was really checking the box for us.
When you select vendors, do they ultimately have to integrate with Yardi, or can they integrate with you directly and then you integrate with Yardi?
Yes, it could be both. Thanks to Salesforce, where Salesforce use a lot of API, as you know, we can have a lot of vendors. The integration is the piece. If they integrate with Salesforce, then there's a chance. If they do not integrate with Salesforce, it's a little bit more difficult because we are Salesforce. We use Salesforce as our backbone.
So I have a question when it comes to centralization, and you are now starting to do services for other owners where they are now using your centralized services for leasing or marketing and that sort of thing. How does that work from weaving those scenarios into your existing structure?
This is correct, Brent. We are now offering third party centralization, leasing, marketing, and maintenance for any individual owners that do not want to take that service on and that cost on because they don't want to have a huge leasing team on site, or they don't want to do their repair in house anymore. And they want to outsource those services to us. So, thanks to our technology, we can onboard individual owners that want to outsource those services to us. We can lease your vacant unit if you don't have the team to do so. We can repair your units and your building if you do want to outsource those very costly in-house team. And thanks to the technology, again, we can onboard those assets that are not ours and handle the maintenance for them, handle the leasing and the marketing for those owners. So this is a new endeavor, I would say, at Veritas, which is third party business development. Because as you know, right now, it's very hard to buy new assets because of the interest rate and the economical situation. So in this way, we can still bring more work into the pipeline for us without having to acquire a building, while just servicing other independent owners locally.
So, just out of curiosity, is this piecemealed? So, if they just want maintenance, you can offer that, or is it all the pieces together as a fully managed system?
Nope. You can do only leasing marketing, you can do only maintenance, you can do only property management if you want as well, or you can do we can do all of it for you. So it's very much you pick and choose, and we are a one-stop shop. That's the beauty of our centralization team and processes, is that we can do it all in-house for you much faster and much cheaper than you could even do it, because we have the volume. We have the workflows and we have the technology to support this additional inventory being entered into our pipeline.
Fantastic. That's great. Hey, everybody. If you have not gotten part one of part two, make sure to check that out. But this one, we got to close it up. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. You shared some amazing insights in how you all approach centralization. So thank you for taking the time with me today.
Thank you so much, Brent. I really appreciate it.